Imagine being completely unaware of the emotions that drive your decisions, your relationships, and even your overall well-being. Are you one of the millions of people who are, in essence, emotionally blind? This is a question that has puzzled researchers and psychologists for decades, and the truth is, most of us are more emotionally blind than we think. In fact, a study by Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, a neuroscientist at Northeastern University, found that our brains are wired to recognize and respond to emotions in others, but often fail to recognize and understand our own emotions. This can lead to a lifetime of reacting to the world around us, rather than taking control of our own emotional lives. The consequences of being emotionally blind can be devastating. When we fail to understand and manage our own emotions, we become more prone to stress, anxiety, and even depression. A Harvard study found that people who are unable to recognize and regulate their emotions are more likely to engage in self-destructive behaviors, such as substance abuse or reckless spending. On the other hand, people with high emotional intelligence are more likely to have stronger, more meaningful relationships, achieve greater success in their careers, and even live longer, healthier lives. But what exactly is emotional intelligence, and how can we develop it? According to Dr. Peter Salovey, a psychologist at Yale University, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and understand emotions in ourselves and others, and to use this awareness to guide thought and behavior. This is a skill that can be developed and strengthened over time, but it requires a willingness to explore and understand our own emotions, as well as the emotions of those around us. One of the key components of emotional intelligence is self-awareness, which involves being able to recognize and understand our own emotions. This can be a challenging task, as our emotions are often subtle and fleeting and can be easily overlooked or misinterpreted. However, research has shown that people who are more self-aware are better able to manage their emotions and are less likely to engage in self-destructive behaviors. A study by Dr. Richard Davidson, a neuroscientist at the University of Wisconsin, found that people who practice mindfulness meditation are more self-aware and have greater emotional regulation than those who do not. This is because mindfulness meditation helps to increase activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for executive function and decision-making, while also reducing activity in the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for emotional reactivity. But emotional intelligence is not just about understanding our own emotions. It's also about being able to recognize and understand the emotions of others. This is often referred to as empathy, and it's a crucial component of any healthy relationship. When we are able to empathize with others, we are better able to communicate effectively, build trust, and resolve conflicts. According to Dr. Simon Baron-Cohen, a psychologist at the University of Cambridge, empathy is not just a natural ability, but can also be developed and strengthened over time. He has found that people who are more empathetic are better able to recognize and understand the emotions of others, and are more likely to engage in pro-social behaviors, such as volunteering or donating to charity. As we navigate our daily lives, we are constantly interacting with others, and our emotional intelligence plays a critical role in these interactions. When we are able to recognize and understand the emotions of those around us, we are better able to build strong, meaningful relationships and to achieve our goals. But when we are emotionally blind, we can often find ourselves struggling to connect with others and to achieve the success and happiness we desire. So, how can we develop our emotional intelligence and become more aware of the emotions that drive our thoughts and behaviors? By exploring the latest research and findings in the field of emotional intelligence, we can gain a deeper understanding of the science behind emotional intelligence and learn practical strategies for developing our own emotional awareness. The science of emotional intelligence is a complex and multifaceted field, and there is still much to be learned about the neural mechanisms that underlie emotional awareness and regulation. However, research has shown that emotional intelligence is not just a fixed trait, but can be developed and strengthened over time. By practicing mindfulness, developing self-awareness, and cultivating empathy, we can become more emotionally intelligent and improve our relationships, our overall well-being, and even our success in life. But what does it mean to be emotionally intelligent, and how can we apply this concept to our daily lives? As we explore the science of emotional intelligence, we begin to realize that it's not just a personality trait, but a skill that can be developed and strengthened over time, and one that has a profound impact on our overall quality of life. And as we delve deeper into the world of emotional intelligence, we start to uncover the many ways in which it can be applied, from personal relationships to professional success, and even to our overall physical and mental health. And this is where the concept of emotional intelligence becomes really interesting, as it starts to reveal the intricate web of emotions that underlies every aspect of our lives. And it's here that we begin to understand the true power of emotional intelligence and how it can be used to transform our lives. And it's at this point that we need to ask ourselves, what would happen if we were to? As we've explored the concept of emotional intelligence, it's clear that being emotionally blind can have a significant impact on our personal and professional lives. But the good news is that emotional intelligence can be developed and improved over time. One of the key components of emotional intelligence is self-awareness, which involves being able to recognize and understand our own emotions and how they impact our behavior. According to research by Peter Salovey, a psychologist at Yale University, self-awareness is a critical component of emotional intelligence, and it's something that can be developed through practice and training. For example, let's say you're in a meeting at work and someone presents an idea that you strongly disagree with. If you're emotionally blind, you might immediately react with anger or defensiveness, which could derail the entire meeting. But if you have high emotional intelligence, you might take a step back, recognize how you're feeling, and choose to respond in a more constructive way. This could involve taking a few deep breaths, counting to 10, or even just pausing for a moment to collect your thoughts before responding. By doing so, you can avoid escalating the situation and instead contribute to a more productive and respectful conversation. Another important aspect of emotional intelligence is empathy, which involves being able to understand and share the feelings of others. According to research by Simon Baron-Cohen, a psychologist at the University of Cambridge, empathy is a critical component of emotional intelligence, and it's something that can be developed through practice and training. For instance, if a friend is going through a tough time, you might not fully understand what they're experiencing, but you can still show empathy by listening actively, offering words of encouragement, and being present for them. By doing so, you can help them feel heard and understood, which can be incredibly powerful in building and maintaining strong relationships. So, how can you start developing your emotional intelligence today? One practical step you can take is to start practicing mindfulness. This could involve taking a few minutes each day to meditate, practice deep breathing, or simply pay attention to your thoughts and feelings without judgment. By doing so, you can become more aware of your emotions and how they impact your behavior, which can help you respond to situations more thoughtfully and intentionally. For example, you might start to notice that you tend to get anxious when you're facing a deadline, and that you have a tendency to procrastinate when you're feeling overwhelmed. By recognizing these patterns, you can start to develop strategies to manage your anxiety and stay on track, such as breaking down large tasks into smaller ones, or seeking support from a colleague or friend. Another step you can take is to start paying attention to your physical sensations. When you're feeling stressed or anxious, you might notice that your heart is racing, your muscles are tense, or your mind is racing. By paying attention to these physical sensations, you can start to recognize when you're feeling overwhelmed and take steps to calm yourself down. For instance, you might take a few deep breaths, go for a short walk, or practice some stretching exercises to release tension. By doing so, you can start to develop greater self-awareness and self-regulation, which are critical components of emotional intelligence. A third step you can take is to start practicing active listening. This involves paying attention to what the other person is saying, both verbally and non-verbally, and responding in a way that shows you're engaged and interested. For example, if a colleague is presenting an idea, you might make eye contact, nod your head, and ask follow-up questions to show that you're interested and invested in the conversation. By doing so, you can build stronger relationships, avoid misunderstandings, and communicate more effectively. Additionally, you can also practice active listening in your personal relationships, such as with your partner, family members, or friends. By doing so, you can show that you value and respect their thoughts and feelings, which can help to build trust and intimacy. Finally, you can start to develop your emotional intelligence by seeking out new experiences and challenges. This could involve taking on a new project at work, trying a new hobby, or even just stepping outside your comfort zone and trying something new. By doing so, you can develop greater self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation, which are all critical components of emotional intelligence. For instance, you might take on a new leadership role at work, which requires you to manage a team and make tough decisions. By doing so, you can develop greater self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation, which can help you to become a more effective and inspiring leader. As you start to develop your emotional intelligence, you might be surprised at how it can impact your relationships, your work, and even your overall well-being. By becoming more aware of your emotions and how they impact your behavior, you can start to make more intentional choices and live a more authentic, meaningful life. For example, you might start to notice that you're more patient and compassionate with others, and that you're able to navigate challenging situations with greater ease and confidence. By doing so, you can build stronger, more resilient relationships and achieve greater success and fulfillment in your personal and professional life. In conclusion, emotional intelligence is a critical component of our overall well-being and success. By developing our self-awareness, empathy, and social skills, we can build stronger relationships, achieve greater success, and live a more authentic, meaningful life. Whether you're looking to improve your relationships, advance in your career, or simply become a more well-rounded and emotionally intelligent person, the science of emotional intelligence has a lot to offer. So, take the first step today and start developing your emotional intelligence. If this helped you see yourself differently, subscribe. I post new psychology insights every single day. And if you want to go even deeper, check the link in the description for Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. It changed how millions of people think and act.